Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia, and this is the 200th show. And I was talking to the guys yesterday about how I listen to a lot of podcasts. You know, I try not to get into a lot of political podcasts because I like to turn my brain off and turn on other brain rot. And I have listened to shows for years, and they're weekly shows, and they're just now celebrating their 200th show or whatever. And I'm thinking, I've only been in this for a few months, and it's my 200th show. Obviously, that's how math works. More shows, days of the week, makes sense. But it's just funny. Like, other shows are like, this is such a huge milestone, and it is. And it just got me thinking that I am so new to this. But 200 shows, it's very exciting. We're growing, and I'm so appreciative for all of you who come and watch, especially in the live chat. And if you want to join them, you got to do it on Rumble, rumble.com/Hayley. That is the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll in full. So if you're on X or if you're on Facebook right now and you're watching, come on over to Rumble. The water's fine, and the best is yet to come. Lots to look forward to in the new year. So tonight's show, we've got former Vice President Kamala Harris. Her latest interview with Jimmy Kimmel gives us another reason to be thankful that she's not our president. Also, James Carville makes a gross comment about Charlie Kirk. I'm going to call him out. There are also some big shakeups happening in the entertainment industry, and President Trump is weighing in. I've also got some other updates from Holly Weird. Sydney Sweeney's co-star in the Housemaid series, she is going full libtard, and it's all part of the plan. So put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. So obviously we opened the show yesterday with the big news that Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino, will be leaving the FBI come January. So like I said, lots to look forward to in the new year. But this got me excited for what's to come, whatever that may be. And Dan posted this, or Dan did not post this, but someone at MS Now, formerly MSNBC, posted this. And it was Dan's, a response to Dan's tweet saying that he is leaving his position at the FBI. And Carol Lenig said 12:55 p.m. This is her timeline. Bongino to MS Now News when I asked him for a comment on story saying he was leaving his position in January. Print whatever you'd like. No one believes you anyway. The Dan Bongino quote of the year. And then, of course, the news comes out that he is leaving. But I'm just excited for more things like that. And when Dan's not in a government position, I think he'll really let the MS Now losers have it. And I'm just very excited for that. So also, I'm excited because with this news yesterday came my favorite installment of the Marco Rubio meme yet. And you might know that this is one of my favorite memes going around right now. And it's of Marco Rubio, who obviously wears multiple hats in the administration. He's not just the Secretary of State. He's a lot of other things. People get moved around and he's the interim whatever. And people were joking that, Marco Rubio is now going to have to fill in for Deputy Director Bongino. Marco Rubio finding out he'll be the new Deputy Director. And of course, it's this same photo of Marco he looks dejected. He looks defeated. He looks tired. He looks like he needs a vacation. And I don't blame him. And then, of course, we've been covering this horrific Vanity Fair expose, this whatever, this takedown of the Trump administration. And, Vice President Vance joked that he would give $1,000 to the photographer if he made him look bad, or if he made, Marco Rubio and all the other people look bad. And, he did. And people were taking that photo of Marco Rubio from the Vanity Fair article and put him in an FBI uniform. Hey, I'm not going to lie. He looks good in the uniform. Put on the uniform, Marco. I like it. You never know. He does so well at all the other things. I mean, why not give it a shot? I would trust Marco. I think he's great. So whether it's Marco Rubio or someone else, we will definitely be in better hands than if the Biden administration was in office. And here is proof. Former Vice President Kamala Harris, she joined Jimmy Kimmel's show, and they were talking about the Epstein files and the Biden administration's handling of them. And this is what Kamala Harris had to say. Watch.
Why didn't the Biden administration release those files? Was that something that they felt would look bad while they're running against this guy, or why didn't they come out during your administration?
To give you an answer that will not satisfy your curiosity, I will tell you, we, perhaps to our damage, but we strongly and rightly believed that there should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did. We absolutely adhered to that, and it was right to do that. The Justice Department would make its decisions independent of any political or personal vendetta or concern that we may have. And that's the way it worked.
She said the word. She said the word vendetta. You know, the Biden administration, they did have vendettas, and they took, they made their political enemies. They took advantage of the Justice Department and weaponized the Justice Department to get those enemies. That was their vendetta. And normally what Democrats do is they project whatever they tell you that they're not doing, whatever, that's what they're doing. Whatever they accuse Republicans of doing, it's actually their playbook. In this case, I would take that vendetta word and take it to the bank, because when Kamala Harris says that there was this big separation between, the political side and their political vendettas and the Biden administration, and then what they had the DOJ carry out, I don't really believe that for 5 seconds. You want to know why? Because we lived it. We lived during the Biden administration that, without probable cause, raided Melania's underpants drawer. They jailed pro-life protesters. They deemed concerned parents domestic terrorists. Literally, parents in Loudoun County, Virginia, were concerned that a trans student was serial assaulting girls in locker rooms. Those parents were called domestic terrorists. The trans assaulter, no problem. The parents who were concerned, domestic terrorists. That was Merrick Garland. So that is the Biden administration's legacy. And that is exactly what Kamala Harris in that clip is trying to distance herself from. Isn't that funny that Kamala Harris is trying to distance herself from the Biden-Harris administration? She's doing her darndest. But you can't distance yourself from the Biden administration. And for her to try to distance, her and Joe, we didn't really know what was going on. We had no control over the DOJ, and they had their own agenda and we had ours. Okay, so this just goes to show that all of the rumors about President Autopen Biden are probably true. You had no control, and this just goes to show, everything that we already knew about the Biden DOJ going absolutely rogue is true. All of that, weaponization of the justice system, Kamala Harris wants us to believe that wasn't them. You hired them. You hired them, and they did your bidding. This is all coming, by the way, as House Democrats are releasing piecemeal photos that they're getting from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. And it's an odd strategy. Every week or so, there's a headline, House Democrats on the Oversight Committee they find new photos. And if you're going to do a document dump or a photo dump or a file dump, just do it. Having this drip, 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 here's a photo of Trump we found, and then, here's another photo of Trump we found, or here's another, they're picking and choosing what works for their narrative. You all know how I feel about the files. Release everything. Don't release this little thing that works for the Democrats and then this little thing that works for the Democrats to tee up a photo op or tee up a vote on this. Release them in the name of transparency, not because it's some political game. And these are the people that claim to care about the victims, and they're using them as pawns. Going through sexual abuse at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell or whoever else is horrific enough. And then they're being dragged around by their hair by the left and the right and the government and the media and Bindergate and whatever. And it's frustrating for me. So I can only imagine how the victims feel. Speaking of more insensitive comments from the Democrats, we have to get into James Carville calling Charlie Kirk basically a nobody in comparison to Rob Reiner. Listen to this.
I'm sorry. I don't want anybody to get shot. He has young kids. I hate that. But Charlie Kirk was not a pimple on Rob Reiner's ass when it comes to influence, when it comes to impact, when it comes to anything else. I don't say anything bad, but for God's sakes, don't dare compare Charlie Kirk to Rob Reiner. That's not fair.
Why are we comparing them anyway? Rob Reiner himself, TDS and all, found it in him to say nice things about Charlie Kirk after he was assassinated. I am not sure what James Carville is talking about in terms of people comparing Rob Reiner to Charlie Kirk. I don't understand this struggle between left and right, Trump supporter, Trump hater. These are humans who lost their lives in tragic ways. We don't need to pit the victims of two heinous murders against each other. Who had more influence, who was cooler, who was better, They had their own families that they are leaving behind, friends they left behind, careers they left behind. Both of them had a lot of life to live. Two human beings have been murdered, and people cannot help themselves but to make it political or to compare their influence, compare their reach, compare their accomplishments. It is sick. Just be sorry that a human life has been taken, and don't try to demean them as being less than an ass pimple while you're at it. I mean, James Carville, this is his legacy. It's absolutely sick. Taking a quick break to tell you about our sponsor for tonight's show. That is Genucel. Ladies and gentlemen, what will be your holiday gift this year? How about looking years, even decades younger in minutes, thanks to Genucel Skincare? During Genucel's Christmas and holiday sales, save over 70% off their complete skincare package, featuring Gen 90 to help visibly reduce the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, under-eye bags, and even laugh lines around the mouth. Say goodbye to those wrinkles and eye bags that give away your age and get compliments this holiday season. When you order today, Genucel will include their top-selling Genucel Deep Firming Vitamin C Serum and Genucel XV Anti-Aging Moisturizer in your complete collection package. Treat yourself this holiday for 10 years off your appearance, and everyone will see the difference. Guaranteed or 100% of your money back. That is the Genucel promise. Go to Genucel.com/scroll, Genucel.com/scroll. Shipping is also free. Use my code SCROLL at checkout for an extra 10% off. Genucel.com/scroll, Genucel.com/scroll. All right, well, there are a lot of shakeups happening in the entertainment industry, and the Warner Brothers bidding war is the priciest one right now. So Netflix and Paramount are fighting for some or all of Warner Brothers, and a lot is at stake here. We already know how woke the media industry is, Netflix chief among them. You know, the Obamas are involved at Netflix. Michelle Obama is listed as executive producer on projects. The more power Netflix has, something tells me we're never going to see a straight white man represented on screen ever again. And I posted that on X, and someone hilariously pointed out that, yes, we will see straight white men represented on screen, but they will be the villain. And I think that's a great point. I should have made that point. So kudos to that person, because totally true. The star will be, a black, queer, whatever, and they'll race swap whatever character in history to make sure that they are black. We are representing, they like to rewrite history, and then the villains will all be white. That is the future, right? And now Warner Brothers might be owned by Netflix. And in all seriousness, Netflix seems to be winning this tug of war right now, because Paramount isn't going down without a fight either, but Netflix offered $82.7 billion in total. That's in enterprise value, or $72 billion in equity. And this would be a mix of cash and stock. Now, Netflix wants control over some parts of Warner Brothers, not all. They want control over Warner Brothers film and television studios, HBO Max, and HBO. Netflix isn't interested in buying any of Warner Brothers' cable networks like Discovery or CNN. I can't imagine why they don't want CNN. Even Netflix is like, no thanks. We'll take all the other parts, but you can leave CNN in the trash. We don't even want that. But Paramount offered $30 per share, and it's an all-cash offer. Total value about $108 billion, including Warner Brothers' debt. So they keep going back and forth. And Warner Brothers is giving its shareholders the hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod to go to Netflix. And think about it. Netflix is a streaming giant, I would say the biggest. And if this goes through, they're going to own another streaming giant, HBO Max. And President Trump actually weighed in on this, saying this is going to be a huge problem because of the size of the audience. Netflix would have a monopoly over the industry. There would be less competition, of course. And then Netflix will have to, make this money back somehow. And if you think that they're not going to raise prices again and again and again, think again. So Trump said he's going to be involved in this decision, whether or not, the federal government should get involved and approve this deal. And it turns out that Jared Kushner is backing Paramount and CEO Larry Ellison in this bidding war. So something tells me that President Trump may favor that side of the deal. Another shakeup is that the Oscars are no longer going to be broadcasted on ABC. They have been doing the Oscars since 1976, and now they're going to be moving to YouTube. So Oscars, it's going straight to DVD, and they're painting this as, well, it's going to be on streaming, and basically this is going to start in 2029, so not right away. So in 3 years, the Oscars are going to be on YouTube, and they're going to do that at least until 2033. So this is like a little trial period where in a few years, they're going to test out doing the Oscars on YouTube, streaming it instead of broadcasting it. And they're painting this as a win. They're saying, it's going to be available to more people. It's going to be free. 2 billion people around the world watch YouTube. And of course, people are YouTube TV subscribers, but it's going to be free for people to watch. And they think that this will make the audience bigger. Well, why would they need to do that? Because their ratings have absolutely collapsed in recent years. They used to have massive, massive numbers, millions and millions and millions. And then in 2020, they dropped. In 2020, they dropped big time, probably because people were locked in their homes. And this was around the same time during the pandemic when we were subjected to Holly weirdos singing Imagine by John Lennon. And, we were all locked in our houses and kids couldn't go to school and nobody could go to work. And no one really was buying into the celebrity elite BS. So that might have had something to do with the fact that nobody was watching in 2020, 2021. But this was a massive smash ratings hit in years prior. In the 2010s, in the earlier years, 41.7 million in 2010, 43.7 million at its peak in 2014. People used to watch. People used to tune into this stuff. And then you see this steady decline. And then it's gone up a little bit, in the last few years. But for the most part, I think people are over these award shows in general. No one cares to watch them. The best host ever was Ricky Gervais when he called out everyone. Remember that iconic moment with the Epstein files and he called out everyone? He's like, you're all friends with him. And everyone was just silent. All of a sudden, no one's laughing anymore. You can't even have real comedians host these events anymore because no one finds anything funny. Everyone wants to cancel everybody. It's just, everyone's over the Holly weird stuff. So I'm certainly over it. And, the Hollywood, these big production houses and all the movie producers, they want to find the next it girl, right? And for a while, Sydney Sweeney was that girl. And she was in, she was in White Lotus, she was in Euphoria, all these hit TV shows. She did the romantic comedy Anything But You with Glenn Powell. She did all these things, right? Like Sydney Sweeney is that girl. Then comes the, American Eagle ad, and now people are kind of souring on Sydney Sweeney because they are like, oh, she's a Trump supporter, right? Obviously, we all are welcoming Sydney Sweeney with open arms, but, the rest of Hollywood and a lot of these leftists, they're not really liking her right now. But Sydney Sweeney is starring in a new movie called The Housemaid with Amanda Seyfried. So Amanda Seyfried, also big star. You know her from Mean Girls and a bunch of other films, Mamma Mia. So she's another it girl that's getting a lot of work these days recently. And she was in a new movie called Anne Lee. And she did this interview. And they're asking her about this new project. They're asking her about Mamma Mia. They did not ask her at all in this whole variety piece about this upcoming movie with Sydney Sweeney. Does anyone want to take a guess as to why Variety didn't ask Amanda Seyfried about Sydney Sweeney? Probably, if I had to guess, Amanda Seyfried's team was like, don't ask her about Sydney Sweeney. We don't want this in the news, right? So not only that, Amanda Seyfried, she got political in this Variety interview. And she said this, quote, "How about we all don't have any kind of agendas? How about our agenda is take care of each other? Socialism is a gorgeous idea. And I know it doesn't work perfectly, or that people understand what the word actually means. For me, it's taking care of each other. If I have more money, I can spend more money on other people." Well, it turns out that Amanda doesn't know what socialism means either, so she shouldn't talk about it. But then she's talking about how, like, we should all just love each other and all this stuff. But I find it interesting that in this piece, she doesn't mention the new Housemaid movie with Sydney Sweeney. She's an it girl. You think you'd want to promote one of your brand new projects that's coming out, and it's out right now in theaters? Found that interesting. I just found it very interesting. And she has to go full libtard to counteract the Sydney Sweeney of it all. They figure, oh no, Sydney Sweeney has gone viral for all the wrong reasons lately. Conservatives love her. Trump is posting about her on Truth Social. And according to the left, this is bad, despite the American Eagle ad doing big numbers for the company and actually being a success. And American Eagle booked her for the Great Genes ad because she has great genes, of course. But she is Hollywood's it girl. And it turns out that people still feel that way because people saw her in the ad and she looked gorgeous. And then they went and bought the jeans because they want to look like Sydney Sweeney in jeans. And they're not going to, but a girl can dream, right? And that's what American Eagle is selling, the dream. You too can have great jeans if you buy American Eagle's jeans. Okay. So then the jeans ad stirs up controversy, and Sydney Sweeney's latest project, where she was playing Christy Martin, the boxer, didn't do as well as some of her other projects. People are, boycotting Sydney Sweeney. So that brings us to The Housemaid. Obviously, filming started way before the American Eagle ad backlash. Amanda Seyfried's PR team, they probably start freaking out because they don't want her attached to Sydney Sweeney in any way. Even though Sydney Sweeney is a moneymaker, they do not want her starring side by side in this movie and bringing attention to it. So the next best thing is, we can have Amanda Seyfried go do this Variety interview and push socialism talking points, and then maybe we can get young liberals to go see the movie, despite their hatred for Sydney Sweeney. And this reminds me exactly of the Snow White debacle. It was a box office debacle. Why? Because Rachel Zegler was starring as Snow White and she was insufferable. So she's on the red carpet and she's talking about how, we reimagined Snow White, and it turns out that she doesn't need the prince at all, and she's a girl boss. And I never liked Snow White at all, and I never watched it, and all this stuff, right? So she's going off on that, and so it's already not doing well. Then she comes out and gets political, and she's going pro-Palestine. Then Gal Gadot, who is also starring in the movie alongside Rachel Zegler, she's Israeli. So now we've got a actress in the movie that is pro-Palestine. We've got an actress in the movie that's pro-Israel. Guess what? Nobody watched the movie because everyone who goes to the movies now, they're liberal. They hate, they're canceling both sides. People get triggered by everything these days. So once you start pitting the starring actresses or actors against each other, this movie is going to flop. And it stinks because I actually read all 3 books in the Housemaid series. It's by Frida McFadden. And I like these books. I like them. They're thrillers. They're very interesting. They grip you right away. That's what I need in a book. If I start reading a book and then it's boring, and if you're not hooked in the first, 20 pages, I'm out. So these are exciting, you can't put them down kind of books. And I am going to see this movie. I think I'm going to go see it on Monday. And I'm excited to see it, but I know that this movie is probably not going to do as well as it should have because the actresses brought politics into it. What they could have done is own the Sydney Sweeney of it all because she is a very successful it girl, and then not bring politics into it, but they cannot help themselves. They just cannot help themselves. Also, the Taylor Swift Eras Tour documentary came out, and before you turn the TV off, before you turn the stream off and you X out of Rumble for good. Hold on. So Taylor Swift, she does this Eras tour. It generated $2 billion. And you all know how I feel about her. I don't like her. I don't even think she's that talented. But she can bring in a lot of money. So in that way, she's talented, right? She knows what she's doing. Clearly, she knows how to market herself. And a lot of people showed up to this tour. And now, of course, to make more money, they're selling this documentary about the tour itself. All the behind the scenes footage that Taylor Swift's fans will just like eat up. So she generated, like I said, $2 billion. And it turns out that she rewarded her staff with $197 million in bonuses. That means that her dancers, the backup dancers, they received $750,000 each. And then truck drivers got $100,000 each. Watch this.
The tour has done really well, thanks to all of our hard work. So if you will kindly read this message.
Taylor Swift. Okay. Oh. Dearest Cam, we've traveled the world like we set out to do. We've dazzled the crowds, but we've missed family too. My full gratitude doesn't come from a bank, but here's... dollars just to say thanks. Love, Taylor.
$197 million in bonuses.
Father was the one that presented the checks to our drivers, and he presented handwritten letters from Taylor. It's incredible.
I know tour truck drivers, and I've asked, do artists usually give out these big bonuses? Unheard of.
What's wrong, Max? He's emotional. Oh my God, do you need a hug? Are you okay?
I'm gonna pass out.
Okay, we can pull out this. Someone in the chat just said, well, that's pocket change to Taylor Swift. This is the same mentality as this next tweet, and I have to call it out because it just pissed me off so much. It's like actually a liberal take. Watch this. So this is what someone posted. She could easily make it $1 billion for the drivers and dancers. She'd still have loads left over. Business Insider, I looked it up because I said, what is Taylor Swift's net worth anyway? It's $1.6 billion. So yes, she is very wealthy, but she doesn't have enough money. She doesn't have like Bezos, Elon Musk money where she can throw out $1 billion. And even so, even if she did, rich people get rich by not being stupid and blowing all their money. That's why they're rich, right? But democratic socialists and communists are not happy unless billionaires are as poor as they are. How dare you say, oh, $190 million in bonuses? Like, you could have done better. Come on. Like, do not make me defend Taylor Swift. I don't even like her, but that is a lot of money. That is life-changing money for people. For the backup dancers, that was 5 times their salary. She gifted in a bonus an extra yearly salary for the drivers. The drivers were making $100,000. She just handed them a check. Here's another $100,000. That is life-changing money. And for people to say like, oh, poor people, like, how dare you tell her what to do with her money? I hate when people have that attitude. Be grateful. Could you imagine getting a check for $100,000? That is life-changing.
These people in the production and all that stuff, they work extremely hard. I mean, they advance the show multiple days. You're talking 50, 60, 70 semi-trucks moving around.
Totally. And they're going to different cities. They're traveling all throughout the night, overnight. They're driving to, they're in different cities and, the same day.
It's very difficult. And this isn't just a 30 show commitment. This was over the span of 2 years?
I think so. Yeah, it was a really long time.
Good for them.
When I saw that response, I wasn't even going to cover this, but then I saw that response and I'm like, these liberals are so ungrateful. They are so miserable that they want other people to be as miserable as they are. Like when people say misery loves company, that's liberals. They are poor and they want rich people's money for nothing. This is a gift. Be grateful. Oh my gosh, it just pissed me off so much. But we do have a redeeming story. So the redeeming story is that George Clooney, he has decided after having a conversation with his wife, Amal Clooney, that he is no longer going to take romantic roles. So here's the headline out of the New York Post. George Clooney declares he won't be kissing a girl on screen anymore after a talk with his wife, Amal. When did they get married? Amal Clooney marriage. They got married, I don't know. When did they get married? Can someone tell me? 2014. So they've been married for a little over 10 years. And I guess they just had this conversation. That's so funny. I guess he's been smooching women for the last 10 years and now she has a problem with it. I don't know. But I like this. I like when people in Hollywood choose to honor their spouses and honor their marriages, because I always, just as a viewer, as a spectator, I always thought it was really weird seeing actors and actresses kiss other people, and like whether they're pretending or not, they have these like romance coordinators on set. I'm always thinking I could never in my life date an actor or an actress or anything like that. How can you watch your significant other kiss other people? I would be in jail. I would be in jail. These people would have to watch their back, because if you're like smooching my man, absolutely not. I would be so upset. And I always would think that watching movies, like knowing that this actor is married to this person or this actress is married to this person or dating this person. I'm like, how do these relationships survive? And then you kind of think to yourself like, oh, well, all of this is fake anyway. They're just acting, and, you know, they blame it on, oh, well, this is just part of the job, right? But then you see so many co-stars start dating each other, and whether or not those relationships are real or just for the press or whatever, it's like, no, you're dating because you started smooching on set and it started as a fake and now it's real, because you can't just smooch people and not have feelings for them. It's just impossible. It's impossible. You know, sometimes I think people in Hollywood, they are just like, they're snakes, right? They're snakes, they're lizard people, they're demonic, all this stuff. But this just goes to show some of them are human, and they have human tendencies to fall in love with people that they hang out with. And anyway, so George Clooney making this decision all of a sudden after 10 years, after talking with his wife, I don't blame him. This would have been before marriage, we would have had this conversation. But George Clooney, he credited Paul Newman with this, because Paul Newman back in the 70s said, I'm going to make the decision to not be in any movies where I have to be in a romantic relationship on screen with my co-star. Just going to make that decision. I'm going to honor my marriage, honor my wife, and not do that. And George Clooney cited that as his inspiration for making this decision. I wonder if that was it, or if it was Amal Clooney's decision. I think it was Amal Clooney's decision to say, yeah, I'm not cool with this. You're not going to be taking movies where you're kissing other people. And then George Clooney's like, it was my idea. I think maybe Amal Clooney, she's a very smart woman. I think she made George Clooney believe that it was his idea, but it was her idea first. But I love this. And not only does Paul Newman do this and George Clooney now, but Neil McDonough, he's conservative and he does a lot of the Angel Studios movies now. And, you know, normally people know him as the villain. Like he was in Real Housewives and some other movies, and he's awesome. Like he usually plays the villain. So he has said, I play the villain because the villain never has a love interest for the most part. I mean, when you're the bad guy in the film, no one's like, I hope that the bad guy, you know, falls in love and gets the girl in the end. So I think that is part of the reason why Neil McDonough has gotten typecast as the bad guy in a lot of these films. And it's totally fine with him because it works for him and it works for his marriage. And I appreciate that. More people in Hollywood like this, please. And it kind of reminds me too, in politics, of former Vice President Mike Pence, because he had also made the decision to not take meetings with other women, like, and other closed door meetings alone with another woman. His wife was either there or it was in a group, but he was never going to be alone with another woman in a room. And I think partly because he's honoring his marriage, but also because in politics, it's like you just never know what people are going to like say about you. They could just come up with rumors or you know, whatever. So I love it. George Clooney, he's now, you know, he said also in this article, you know, he's in his 60s now, I think. And he's like, listen, no one's hiring me as the heartthrob anyway. They don't want to see me smooching anyone at this point in my life anyway. So maybe it was just like an easier decision. Maybe he's just saying, oh yeah, I had this conversation with my wife, but it's really because no one's asking him to kiss anyone on screen now anyway. But I don't know, something to think about. But if it is because he wants to honor his marriage, I'm all for it. Let's get into scrolling time. Video on my For You page today, and it just cracked me up. But here are some airport tips from an immigration lawyer. Watch this.
Well, it's official. TSA just announced that they are, in fact, sending the names of every passenger that books an airline ticket to ICE. ICE is then going to run those names through their database to see if there's any sort of removal order or hold, or if that person's out of status. Anytime you go to an international airport especially, Customs and ICE is already at that airport. So if you're out of status and you booked a ticket at a certain day at a certain time, ICE is going to know exactly where you are and they're going to be able to detain you. I've taken consultations from people that have told me that family members have actually been sitting on the plane waiting to take off, and ICE will come onto the plane and grab them. Now, whether or not you get out of being detained by ICE, a lot of it is going to depend on how you entered the country, whether or not you're eligible for a bond. A lot of people think that just because they file for a green card, they have an application pending, that somehow that protects them. And the truth is, it doesn't. Once you're out of status, you're out of status, and you're within the rights of ICE to detain you.
Yep. That's how this works. But the people in the comment section on this video are sharing a collective brain cell. There were people in the comments of this video saying, this is like The Handmaid's Tale. There are people in the comments of this video saying, oh my God, I feel like Anne Frank. I'm dead serious. Someone else commented, oh my God, I have a flight tomorrow and I'm Latina. I guess nobody knows that TSA is quite literally run by DHS. DHS is the umbrella. TSA, ICE, they're all under the Department of Homeland Security. Goodbye, Paris. Hello, France. Do people not know this? Oh my goodness, TSA is giving that information to ICE. Do people really think that they book flights and the government doesn't know about it? Or that government agencies don't share information, especially when they're under the same Department of Homeland Security? Are people shocked that law enforcement can and will arrest you at the airport? Because sometimes, you know, it's small crimes. Like sometimes they have to deal with Shelly from Wisconsin who had ate too many mimosas on her way to Miami. And other times it's, that motherfucker right there is not real. Sometimes they have to arrest that girl. And then other times it's a terrorist, like it's a real terrorist threat. And then if you follow TSA on Instagram, you will see that they share a lot of the crazy things that people try to bring onto planes. Like that woman that we covered on this show had 2 turtles in her bra, 2 live turtles. One did not make it through TSA alive, rest in peace. But again, people try to freeze knives in ice and bring it through security. I mean, people are doing the most. And yes, you will be arrested if you are committing a crime at an airport or if you're trying to commit a crime at an airport. A good rule of thumb. Are you breaking the law? Yes or no? Are you running from the law? Yes or no? If no, enjoy your flight. Everything is going to be fine. I have to say this on the show all the time. And obviously people who watch this show don't need this reminder. But if you are an American citizen, you've got nothing to worry about. Everything is going to be A-okay. Even if ICE pulls you over in a car or you get at a traffic stop or even at the airport, if you have your documentation on you, if you have your license, you have your passport, everything's going to be fine. We even see stories of, like a American citizen got pulled over and then ICE lets them go because they're not looking for American citizens. They're just not. And if all else fails, you can always remember my golden rule for airports, which is sit down and shut up. Because if you sit down and you shut up, you're probably not going to get into any trouble. I also recommend retrieving your bag within 10 seconds. Because at first on this show, I said it was a little too generous. I said you should get your bag down in 30 seconds. 30 seconds is way too long. 10 seconds. If you do 10 Mississippis, that's way too long. I mean, come on. Unless you're impaired in some way. Or maybe you're like Shelly from Wisconsin who had 8 mimosas before her flight. Maybe you need 30 seconds. No, you need 10 seconds to get your bag down. That is it. 10 seconds. And it's easier to take down than it is to put up. I'll give you 15 seconds to put your bag up, 10 seconds to take your bag down, and then put one foot in front of the other, walk with a purpose, and get out of the way. If you follow those rules in the airport and you're an American citizen, foolproof. You will have a great flight experience. Nothing to worry about. All right, this next video is an SNL skit that basically says that women prefer liberal beta gay men than masculine men. Watch.
I hate to be the group horn dog, but are they not gonna strip? Oh, they strip, boys.
Girls at a bachelorette. They didn't hire strippers, they hired beta losers.
Why are they wearing 2 cardigans? Look at Liza. I think it's really working for her.
You know, I think the president should be Cynthia Erivo.
God, you're perfect.
Hey, I've never seen her like this.
I'm still not turned on, y'all. These guys look like Frog and Toad. When are they gonna drop trow and show that Ticonderoga pork pencil?
Ew, Beth, stop!
I'm just saying, I want to see some skin.
Ask and you shall receive.
He reveals a Zoran tattoo on his stomach.
Big Zoran tattoo.
Very sexy.
I don't want my strippers to have little beanies and little earrings. I want them to throw ass in a cop outfit.
Okay, and and what happened to throwing ass in a cop outfit on a bachelorette? Bring that back. President Trump's in office. We're making America great again, make men masculine again, make America hot again. But of course, SNL has another agenda, and that is make liberal men great again. That's their agenda. And, you've got the one outcast girl in the skit, and she's perpetuating the status quo of conventional attractiveness, physically fit, manly men. Like, where are the muscles? Where is the muscle guy in the cop outfit? That's what she's looking for, right? But that's only one. She's in the minority, according to SNL. And then the rest of these women are like, kiss to 2 dudes as if on a bachelorette. These are like supposed to be straight women, and they're like, woo, kiss. So I don't know if SNL is trying to normalize this and make beta men look cool and hot and desirable, or if they're trying to kind of poke fun at the fact that liberal women have poor taste in men, but I highly doubt that. I think it's the former. I think this is SNL's response to the rise of conservatism among younger generations. We saw Gen Z and Gen Alpha vote for Trump in the 2024 election. We're seeing a lot of people on social media. They're buying into this trad wife lifestyle where women want to go, they want to have families. They don't want to work anymore. They want to, make sourdough. These are things that are going viral on TikTok right now. And younger generations are kind of waking up to the feminist girl boss scam where they feel like, I don't think I'm going to be fulfilled if I climb the corporate ladder anymore. And then, we see that it's not just that, but with the men, they are going more towards the right because the left has called them toxic masculinity for how many years? And society is rejecting that. The liberal narratives are completely falling apart. Women, they want a masculine man that can take care of them. They do not want to watch 2 dudes talk about musical theater and say that Cynthia Erivo should be our president and then watch them grope each other. That is not the dream. It is not the dream of women that I know. And certainly I don't even believe that it is the dream of liberal women. This is just the pipe dream that SNL is selling. So this next video is funny. I am not on dating apps currently, but if I have to get back on them, I might try this. This is a girl's Hinge profile, dating profile. She is really leaning into the trad wife lifestyle to attract a mate. Watch this. POV, you're approaching 30 and about to be worthless to men soon, so you have to start to being strategic. 2 truths and a lie. I love to cook, I love to clean, I can drive. Sorry, this one might be too obvious. She's 26, she's a woman, she's 5'6". Her job is in the kitchen. How history will remember me. And now this is a photo of her burning women's rights. She says, I'm known for, and this is a photo of her juggling a bunch of cleaning supplies. She's got a Swiffer, she's got some Shout, some Windex, she's got an apron on. The next prompt is, I wish I could tell the younger version of myself, you're not going to be president. Sorry, honey. That's a man's job. And then hashtag Mondays, am I right? And it's her doing the splits with the Swiffer in the back. Typical Sunday, wearing a muzzle so you can watch sports and I won't interrupt the whole time. Planned it or candid, and it's a photo of her, wiping down her apartment with some Windex and a rag. And I think this would work. I think it would work because men find this funny because obviously she has a sense of humor. But I think men would like this a lot. If you guys saw this on a dating app, would you find it funny? You'd be into it?
Way more creative than probably the average post.
And I think they probably know that she's a liberal and she's joking. But I think if you have a sense of humor like that, you're better than other liberal women. I think that, this sets her apart. Certainly great sense of humor. And I don't know, maybe in making all those photo ops of her cleaning her apartment, and maybe she does like it in the kitchen. Maybe she's sold on the trad wife lifestyle.
She needs an update.
We need an update, yeah, to see how this goes. Absolutely need an update. And if it's successful, maybe I'll try it myself. When I was on Bumble, and my profile said, if you got the COVID-19 vaccine, let's arm wrestle. May the best woman win. And that got a lot of play. Guys thought that was pretty funny. Because if you got the COVID-19 vaccine, you're a girl. You're a beta loser. No, I'm just kidding. All right, this next video, this is funny because it was snowing. They were out with all their neighbors and their friends, and they started kind of sledding in the road. And one of their loser neighbors called the cops on them. Watch. It says, POV, your neighbor calls the cops on you for sledding down the street, but then they join you. So here's the video of the cops in their uniforms sliding down the road.
Officer down! Officer down! Officer down! Oh no! Another officer down!
I love videos like this.
Yo, he was going. He's got the weight on me.
I love knowing that whatever Karen neighbor called the cops on them was just standing in the window, like scowling at the cops, playing around with all the people in the street and having fun and getting in on the fun. I love when cops have fun, when they, respond to these kinds of things, and it's like they can have a sense of humor and say, yeah, we're not going to arrest people for sledding in the snow, even if it is in the middle of the street. There were no cars on the road. Come on. So I love this. And I think we covered this on the show recently, where there was a cop that was called because someone had a donkey in the parking lot of like a Tractor Supply or something. And then the cop came to respond to this. What a ridiculous request. And the cop came, and then he was on the donkey taking photos on the donkey. Love it. I love it. And I'm sure it sends the Karen that called them into a coma. And I think that it's so funny. It's just hilarious. All right, I've got one last video for you, and I keep finding really cute kid videos, and this one is really cute. They're making cookies, and this little boy, he wants the cookies to be done so badly that he's imitating the oven sound, telling his mom that the cookies are done. Trust him. Watch.
Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep.
Very convincing, I must say. I think the cookies are done, Mom. Take them out. They're done. He wants them. Give him anything he wants. The cute little face. Beep, beep, beep. Cookies are done. Trust me, bro. All right. Thank you for scrolling along with me tonight. I had a lot of fun. You can follow me on social media at Hayley Caronia, HayleyCaronia. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Truth Social. I'm on X. I'm not on Threads, not on Facebook. So if you're trying to find me, at Hayley Caronia at the icons below. And of course, make sure that you follow the Bongino Report channel right here on Rumble, rumble.com/Hayley. That'll bring you to the Bongino Report channel. We are at a very unfortunate 100,000 followers. So make sure that you like that, you subscribe so we can get off of that number. Send the link of this episode, send it to a friend, send it into the group chat. You can watch on iHeart, listen on iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. But thank you for watching. Wherever you watch, I appreciate you, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.